Hey everyone, it's Louis, and today I'm bringing you the PPC News Daily, keeping you updated with everything that's happened over the last 24 hours for the 16th of October 2024. Starting off with the Google Ads status dashboard, as you can see, the Google Ads Manager is still having service disruptions. This started on the 11th of October and is still in place 5 days later, so hopefully it's fixed by the end of the week, but everything else within Google Stack is looking up and operational. In terms of the first piece of news for today, this is regarding Google Shopping getting a big transformation. This is probably one of the biggest pieces of news we've had in the last few months, where we can see that the user experience for Google Shopping is getting a complete overhaul using AI to make it more personalized. So you can see here they're upgrading the shopping research with the help of AI to make sure it's intelligently showing the most relevant products, helping to speed up and simplify your research. We can also see here that it mentions there's going to be AI generated briefs with top things to consider for your search, plus products that meet your needs. Let's say, like me, you're looking for a new winter jacket, but you're just not any winter jacket. You want something that's warm and dry in the Pacific Northwest. It will then show a search for men's winter jacket for Seattle, will give an AI brief and show the most important things before investing in a new cloak for this climate. So really interesting to see how it's being overhauled. It looks really sleek, and it's taking a similar format to what we saw with the Google Ads dashboard update, with the way that it has kind of these bubble menus, and it has a little bit of a different user experience across the board. And then we can see this research with AI section at the top here in orange as well to give you some additional details. So it has more personalized results that are coming through as well. And we can see that it's going to find the best prices from the best places as well. So it's going to give you that overview. We did see that it did try to with the current shopping experience and did a decent job at that, but it looks like they're going to overhaul it generally with the overall experience that has in place. But you can see as well, it has an experimental label, which will show the AI generated briefs across the different products and the searches that you put in place. From my understanding, this will just take effect in the US to start off with, but hopefully we should see that expanding to other areas and regions across the world. The next story piece of news, or should I say, comes from Thomas Echel regarding a new placement that they can see with regards to closes soon within the normal search campaign. So with this, it's a new asset that's showing with this little orange text, which you can see in the screenshot, which says that basically based on the information provided by the shop and the Google business profile, it will show a little notification to say whether it's closing soon, which is really interesting to see. I don't know if this is effective across the entirety of Europe as well as across the world, but it's a new implementation which is actually really useful, I can imagine, especially for brick and mortar stores like restaurants and coffee shops and retail shops. So we'll see how this transpires in the future. But with this, for it to show properly, like I mentioned, it just needs to have the Google business account to be linked with the Google Ads through the location assets. The next story again comes from Thomas from regards to the video enhancements and the fact that it's now default opted in. So we saw this recently with the implementations of the video enhancements, where it'll basically take your existing video content and then make it shorter or change the aspect ratio so it better fits with vertical formats. And we can see that it's now a default opt-in within the option settings within the videos that we can, the video campaigns that we can put forward. So you can see here, Thomas has put a little video to show where this is available. So if he scrolls through from the settings that we can see here, you can see when you select the video ad at the top here, and then scroll down past media, you can see that it has this option and it will be ticked as default. Really interesting to see, but generally, like I said, I think it will be a net positive overall for most advertising campaigns, but just double check that it is rejigging your video content in the way that you want it to, and it's still going to get the correct message across. The next piece of story comes from Adrian Decker, and this comes from Kushal Bawani regarding the discoverance of a new expandable carousel that Google's testing with. So we saw a few different things that are coming through, especially for sort of, mini display elements that we're seeing with the assets on Google search. We're seeing these little drop downs, we're seeing these carousel elements, and Kushal's been on top of it to keep us updated with these developments. It's a small change, but again, with this overhaul that's coming into place, it seems like they're testing lots of different things to see how to make this user experience as best as possible. So that's really exciting for e-commerce accounts in the near future and the overall shopping experience. The next one that comes from Adrian Decker and Nazar Rodetsky. This is regarding, again, a new app placement. So we can see here with the underlying green here, a tick box for Windows phone apps, which is really interesting underneath the Google Play section. So it'll be interesting to see if this does take effect in all accounts and if this is generalized placement for all advertisers. But nonetheless, a really interesting new development. And then we have another new one here as well from Anthony Higman, announced by Adrian Decker, regarding a new call term. This one's really interesting, especially for lead generation accounts, where you can see the click to call terms have been updated, where Google may automatically include a whisper message at the beginning of the call to notify participants that the call is being recorded. So there's some text here that you can read through to understand it to more effect, but it seems like an implementation that Google's been wanting to introduce for a little while, and it seems like they've updated their terms recently to reflect this with this whisper. So we'll see when this takes effect, but I think it is, probably in due with GDPR and everything else that's changing, and Google's being more, overt in terms of their efforts to do that. The next piece of news that comes directly from Adrian Decker is the fact that throughout January 2025, various privacy law provisions will take effect in Iowa, Delaware, New Jersey, Nebraska, and New Hampshire, namely the Iowa Consumer Data Protection Act, Delaware Personal Data Privacy Act, New Jersey Comprehensive Data Privacy Act, Nebraska Data Privacy Law, and New Hampshire Senate Bill 255. Absolute mouthful there, but as you can see, it looks like Google will be supplementing the existing Google Ads data processing terms and Google Ads controller data protection terms as well. And no additional section is required to accept these terms if you have already agreed to the online data protection terms. So it seems like it's taking effect across the states and with the overall US state privacy laws. So you can look into this if it affects you. An interesting change as well, like I said, with the fact that they're being more overt with their efforts across these different acts. And the final piece of news comes from the Google Merchant Center update, which Emmanuel Flossie has discovered here through Adrian Decker with the announcement, and the fact that they just posted that Google has created new guidelines to emphasize the new requirement for energy efficiency labels on certain product groups in the EU, EFTA, or the UK as well. So we can see the description of the relevant guidelines that they have in place for the labels that will take effect. But again, this won't take effect to many advertisers. It's just very specific towards this particular area, but an interesting change nonetheless. And again, overtly being very conscious of making sure that they're following the required, things that you need to put in place for different industries. So newer updates across the board, but obviously the newest one and the biggest one is regarding Google Shopping's overhaul. So we'll see how that takes effect in the future and what that will look like in the US as well. But you can also see all of the content articles in the description below if you want to read them in your own time. But that is going to conclude the PPC Daily News. If you are enjoying the videos and you also want to see more of them, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, do put them in the comment section below and I'll take a look at them. Thanks for watching. This has been Louis with the PPC News Daily, and I'll see you in the next one.